Yeah, I was just running my mouth and didn't realize that my camera got cut off, so I got broken off again. So part two. So yeah, there's people who are guilty, and I encountered someone at Trader Joe's about a year and a half ago, and he looked down and he just kind of scuttled away really quick. He was hoping I didn't see him, but I did see him. And I'm not gonna sit here and confront him. But if he said anything, or if he was like in back of the line with me and said something, I would have just let him have it. Seriously, I would have, and he would have deserved it. So these people know that I know what they did, and they should be ashamed of themselves. They really should be. But anyway, back to the issue of psychic powers. Yeah, I have this weird thing about appliances, like my thoughts. Like if I'm thinking something and I'm assuming something, or thinking that somebody did something, or whatever, if it's true, it's very strange. It's like certain appliances will start making noises, okay? Like I have a connection to my refrigerator, which is really strange. And then I used to have connections with with a toilet, okay? Like you know how sometimes if you press the handle down, you hear that cycling of water that starts to fester up? Well, I wouldn't be touching the handle or anything, but I would be thinking certain thoughts about certain things that were going on with me, and then I would get confirmation from the toilet, which is really funny because I was telling this girl about it who also claims to be interested in metaphysical sciences, right? But when I said it, she kind of scoffed and laughed, like, okay, like you're going to talk to a toilet. Okay, I'm not talking to the toilet, but it's like certain things that I have connections to, okay? I no longer have this weird toilet issue thing going on, but I do have an issue with my refrigerator. My refrigerator somehow communicates, or it's not so much that it's communicating with me, it's just that your thoughts are actually electrical impulses, so it affects electronics, okay? Which is something that I have discovered, and then I also looked it up, and this is a very not common thing, but it's understandable for people who have this issue. Like, for example, I was reading an article about how some people can't wear watches, and I realized when I was a kid, I would always have an issue with my watch, right? There's something about me that affects the mechanisms in that watch, so it'll stop working or whatever. And it's very common. So I started reading about other people's issues, and I can see that this is really indeed a strange phenomenon. It is not really recognized on a wide scale, but it exists nonetheless, okay? So I do realize that I have a special gift, and I'm grateful for it, because it helps me, and it's there for my protection. So, yeah, I do understand what happened, and so it's a lot on your mind because you realize that somebody basically did something to hurt you. And these people are walking around, living their lives, and they're just, to me, the most horrible people that ever existed on the face of this planet. And I'm referring to the employers, and I'm talking about the ringleader, the lady I used to work for, and whatever. So, anyway, people shouldn't be afraid of psychic powers. I think a lot of people have them, and they don't realize it. I mean, like, sometimes if you could take some time out, and just sit quietly, and maybe think certain thoughts, and if you might hear certain noises going on in your house that relates to your electronics, you might be one of those people, I've always had bad problems with watches. And, I remember getting a Minnie Mouse watch. I was never a Disney lover. I don't know why in the world my dad got me a Minnie Mouse watch. But he got me a Minnie Mouse watch. And I wasn't really crazy about Minnie Mouse because I've always hated Disney characters. But I wore it anyway. And it was red, okay, which was one of my favorite colors as a kid. And I remember not too long after that, and I knew it was a good quality watch, mind you. I mean, it wasn't a Rolex, okay, but it was still a decent quality watch because my dad bought everything from based off of what he read on Consumer Reports, that big, thick book. He wouldn't buy anything without consulting that. So he always made sure the brand that he bought me, or anybody, anything for the house, was quality, right? So I got this watch, and so I'm all happy, and it would just stop. It would stop. And I remember getting a digital watch, a few years later, he got everybody in the house a digital watch. And that stopped working. And then I remember back in the 90s, I had one of these yellow, it was like one of these purses. It was like a cute purse. I think I got it from I don't know, Clothes Time or something like that. It was cute. And it was like a pleather yellow purse. And it had a face-up clock that actually worked. I mean, people would walk up to me and oh, that actually works. It was a cool clock, okay? And it looked really good with one of my outfits, back in the 90s. early 90s, okay? That stopped working too, you know? I can't wear watches. I can't wear them, okay? Because they always get messed up, you know? But, so yeah, I mean, I'm very in tune to certain things, you know? And I'm also in tune to the refrigerator that's in my workplace. Like, I'll start thinking certain things, and it's like, it makes that little noise, you know? And I'm sure refrigerators make noises all the time. It's a part of their natural cycle, but it coincides with your thought patterns. And you know, anyway, I mean, if you could look it up, how the mind power affects electronics, you could probably Google it, and you could probably come up with information on it. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. So I'm not mad at, like, you know, the cute guy or his mom. I'm not mad at Teresa. I mean, I understand how people get involved with this, especially if you have a ringleader who, you know, seems like they have authority, and people get sucked into it. There's so many, what do you call it, demonstrations of how people get sucked up. As a matter of fact, I had an article that I put on LinkedIn, and I'm sure the ringleader, Karen, saw my article on LinkedIn, and I know my sister Tanya saw it because she looked at my profile, and she was dumb enough to not hide herself. And so anyway, people get sucked up into all kinds of stuff. There was this one issue where this lady was convinced to, there was a man, he was convinced to help kidnap a baby. There was one where this person was convinced to put something into somebody's drink. And people can get convinced into doing all kinds of things because they think, well, this person has authority, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And they don't realize that, no, they don't have any authority. And I don't care how great Karen thinks she is or what she owned or whatever, she doesn't own me, okay? Slavery days are over, bitch, okay? So anyway, yeah, I'm just like, you know, sitting here thinking about all the things that's happened, and it's very mind-blowing. It's very mind-blowing. And, you know, and when I'm out in town or whatever, I don't talk about my psychic issues or whatever. There used to be a little store that I used to go to where other people have this similar interest. I don't go there anymore since the gang stalking. You'd think if they were psychic, they'd know that I had nothing to do with this bullshit. But, you know, I dealt with the weird stares and shit like that, too, there. Maybe they don't have the gift of understanding, you know, being able to read the issues of other people. But still, I'm a little perturbed about all that. So, anyway. So, yeah, they destroyed my life, basically, and made it a living hell, you know? So, anyway, I was thinking about seeking, I want justice, I do, because I'm not going to be happy until I get my fucking just desserts, okay? And what I really want to do is just want to move on with my life. That's what I want to do more than anything. I just want to forget it. I want to forget it. I know that oftentimes, you know, because Karen has so much power, you know, she convinced certain lawyers to not help me. And that's bullshit, because she deserves to get sued for every goddamn thing she has. She does, okay? And people like this, they need to learn their lesson. They do. They need to learn their lesson that, you know, they only have so much power. They have the power to say what goes on in the workplace. And it has to be within those guidelines of the law. And if they abuse that power, they deserve it. They do. They certainly deserve it, okay? And would I have a case if a lawyer would take it? Yeah, I would have a case. Okay? Because obviously my life I have been seriously affected, and all of my rights basically have been violated. You know, as for the CPA who got involved with this, I know exactly what he did, and I find it extremely offensive, seeing as how I never worked under his place of employment, and even if I did, he would have no right. But the very fact that, you know, I don't have anything to do with this person, his ass is sitting here participating in this shit, it's like, dude, fuck you. Okay? Seriously. It's just, oh my god, I can't even tell you how angry I am about it. But, yeah, don't look me in the face, dude. Don't even look at me. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, I'm angry about the whole thing, obviously. And it's not because I'm the kind of person I'm not a crybaby. I've always, like, maintained my composure. I've always been able to handle things very well. But when you mess up my life like this, and then, you know, the biggest issue about gang stalking is it deprives you of your basic human rights, okay? And so, like, I can't even understand, like, okay, now that you plowed over everything that I ever cared about, what am I supposed to do to help myself? They don't even allow you to help yourself. Like, you know, I can't even go to, like, a job counselor and talk to them about how do I start all over again. I have to sit here and try to figure that shit out by myself. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? And, you know, people need to realize the kind of stuff that they do, you know, and they should be held accountable for it, really. Really, she should be stoned to death, you know, seriously. So anyway, evening has come. The sun's starting to go down earlier now, so it's it's getting to be that time, you know. It's that time of year again, which I'm kind of looking forward to because there's nothing more toasty and warm than like laying in bed and having your heater on. I've become accustomed to this little wall heater. I have. I fell in love with it. I was afraid to use it at first, but now I love it, you know. And it really kind of became my friend, I guess, you know. Like last winter, you know, I enjoyed having it on, and I got used to it, so I'm not afraid of it anymore. But so anyway, I just wanted to finish. Oh yeah, I also want to mention that in 2012, I don't know, I had these weird feelings about Joel's mom, and it was so weird and creepy that I immediately shook it out of my mind. It was like 2012. I had these weird feelings that she was like some weird sick perverted person that had some weird shit for me. Like, it was making me sick, okay? And I don't even really want to go into it. But I shrugged it off because, you know, I was still convinced that she was a good Christian. I was still convinced that, yeah, she was a little dumb, okay? But I was still convinced that she was a good person at that time, okay? And aside from that, I really didn't want to think that because it was too much for me. But now that I'm thinking about it, I hope that that vision or that thought that came through my mind about her being perverted towards me was fake, okay? I don't want confirmation about it. I don't want to think about it, but there's a very big possibility that they're a bunch of perverts. And if they are, gross, and I'm cringing already just thinking about it. So anyway, wrapping up this video, I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'll be back with another video later. Bye-bye.